So I take it you saw the Billboard post recently that celebrated the Verzuz battle, and it failed to include Bounty Keeney Man. How did you feel about that, seeing that?
Listen, there's so many different ways to look at that, and so many questions to be asked. So at the very core of it, just as a matter of credibility and integrity, one has to ask what could motivate a publication to do something so just incredibly blatant, I guess, deliberate. There clearly there's some reasoning to it, and I would be very interested to hear the reasoning. So there's that. But at the end of the day, it highlights, I guess, one of the things that we need to work on in our industry, and that is, and when I say we, I think we as fans and practitioners alike, to be our own mainstream and worry less about an external mainstream. So, it shouldn't be that we have a Caribbean diaspora of, without doing any real research and calculation, I'm going to estimate it to be upwards of 10 million. I'm sure that between all the Caribbean islands, folks living in the UK and all over the United States and all over Europe should mount to more than 10 million. Safe to say, right? Yet still, we don't ever sell 100,000 copies of anything unless it's in another market. So, for example, my brother Charlie Blacks got his gold plaque sometime, I think it was last year. That's due to sales coming from Latin America, as far as I understand it. Until we can, look ourselves in the mirror and be like, yo, what are we doing for our own industry? We can't expect others to do it. In the same way, when the Verzuz thing came about and there was some criticism about, the fact that Beanie and Bounty went on there, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you were aware of that conversation going on. And at the end of the day, we saw like Verzuz TV got like, I think it was 500,000 followers in one night, whatever. A lot of that was from the Caribbean diaspora. So in other words, there's that platform. We all went there to drive the numbers up. And then, here we are talking about, why is it that the guys weren't included on the cover? I think we really have to focus on building our own, so that even if those things continue to happen, it won't have the same effect. It will be like, they weren't on it, all right. It's an argument about, are we documenting our own story, or we are waiting for it to be documented for us? Listen, history is written by the winners, and if you want to win, you have to write your own history. Too many documentaries, too many articles, too many of the way our story is told is external, too much. So if we should take ownership of it, I'm trying to do what I can, the way I can. So I'm in the studio doing what I can do, trying to play that part, develop on my faculties. So I'm calling on the learned ones, the folks in literature, in the university, to, in mass media, all of that. These are the guys who should be thinking, wait, how can we tell our story? How can, where is the documentary about when Beanie and Bounty took on Verzuz? Where's the documentary about Beanie and Bounty and the long-standing rivalry from Sting? And where are the local accounts of things like that? So I think it's an opportunity to really look at what we can do to strengthen our own situation. It really is.
So talking of Bounty Killer in particular, obviously you've just linked up with him and Kabaka Pyramid on the Loco remix. Tell us how that link up came about with
Most
Killer.
recently, he reached out to me to say he's working on a project and he would love for me to produce something for him. And of course, I was honored to get that call, and so we got together and we worked on that record. And when we finished the record, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, Killer, yeah, now do a remix to that song, and I played it. And yeah, you know, we might sort something for it. So that's how that link forward. And then Kabaka, as far as I understand now, Kabaka was by Teflon, and I think Teflon was playing the beat or whatever, and he was just like freestyling something, and I was like, yo, this bad. And Teflon told him we were doing a remix, and he was like, yeah, right away, ready. And so, you know, Tef told me about it. I was like, oh, you mean? Of course, ready, let's go. So yeah, that's how it happened.
So what's Killer like to work with? Because obviously he's got this reputation as being cross, you know, angry, very serious, very serious.
No, man, there's a mutual respect. And of course, you know, he would know that, you know, I have tremendous, you know, respect for him. And you know, again, for him to reach out to me to say, yo, you know, he wants me to produce something for him. Yeah, that certainly, you know, means a lot. And, you know, we just, you know, we work on that basis of, like I said, just mutual respect and an understanding of what the mission is, you know. So there's no ego involved. It's just, you know, the music first, and, you know, we try to, you know, make something for the people that they would love and appreciate.
And like at this stage in your career, I mean, working with, you know, artists like Bounty Killer who have been around forever, you know, they've done it all. Is there still things that you can learn from them, like at this stage in your career, that you know, things that you pick up from them?
Absolutely. But I learn from everyone. I'm always a student of the music, so, you know, I'm always trying to learn, and sometimes learning can be learning what not to do as well, you know. So yeah, I'm always a student of the music, and I consciously, of course, when you go around, you know, certain people, like it's even, you know, it's even more amplified, you know, like, you know, you make sure that you're really paying attention to, you know, every single thing, and then sometimes I'll actively ask, you know. I remember meeting Toots. I saw him in a hotel lobby one time here in Kingston, and he was, you know, sitting, chilling out. He was alone, actually, just chilling there, and I, you know, I really took the opportunity to be like, yo, what, man? Oh yeah, where you been, young man, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, Godfather, tell me, I noticed we were at like a rehearsal for some national event, like a few months before, and I noticed in soundcheck, the microphone is like all the way down, you know, almost like waistband height, and he's belting out louder than everyone. You know, mister, and I'm like, yo, what is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, wait, is a microphone hidden somewhere else? And so I asked him about it. I was like, yo, how do you do that? How do you, you know? And like he looked over his shoulder twice, like he was gonna give me the secret to life, and he said, you just gotta sing it like you mean it, son. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'm always trying to learn, man, from every experience and every interaction and everyone who I can.
And I know that you've been as you said, a keen student of the game, you know, since you came into the music game. Tell us about some of your early mentors in the industry.
All right, so from early out, from as far as I can remember, I mean, I fell in love with this music when I was very young. I don't know, 2, 3 years old, as far as my memories go back. And at that time, it was people like Lieutenant Stitchy and Papa San and Professor Nuts was my real favorite. I guess I could say Professor Nuts is maybe my favorite artist of all time, because, you know, there are so many other influences, but Nuts at the time when you know what I mean, like it was, you know, like his storytelling and everything, like I really, really, like, trust me, I have incredible ratings for him. And then, you know, of course, Sprague Benz and Bounty Killer, Buju Banton as well. By the time I got to high school, it was even Dave Kelly, even though not an artist necessarily, but just, you know, that whole production. You know, then outside of that, of course, you know, come on, list out the greats. Stevie Wonder is also currently my favorite artist and my dream collab as well. Anybody who knows Stevie who might say this, tell him, yeah, that's an absolute dream right there. You know, of course, Michael Jackson, you know, musically. Bill Withers since recently, Ray Charles, like you name it, music in general. Locally, again, like people like Sizzler them and, you know, Baby Wayne and them and the Major Worries, Shabba Ranks, like, you know, it's endless.
Talking on artists like Professor Nuts, you know, Papa San, Lieutenant Situ, do you feel like they are remembered as much as they should be in the story of dancehall by the wider, you know, fan base of dancehall?
Well, so tell you what, once again, I don't think along the lines of should be. You know, it is what it is, right? So once again, if our story is not being told by us, then who is gonna remember them? We should remember them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so shout out to a couple of YouTubers. I see doing like series trying to, you know, revisit that. Teach Them is one of the guys who always going, you know, like, you know, doing interviews with you know, a lot of artists from, you know, from them time there. And then even like since this whole COVID situation, I started doing like a rhythm dancehall classics, you know, just revisiting the rhythms, talking about the experiences recorded on some of these classic dancehall tracks. So it's things like that, you know, it's telling the stories, and I'm making sure that we are celebrating, you know, all the contributors, and it's something that is definitely missing. But once again, you know, we can't start thinking only like, oh, you know, these people should be or should not be. Like, the story needs to be told. That's all I know. And who is to be celebrated will be celebrated, you know.
And you mentioned Spragga Benz, who I know has been a big mentor throughout your career. Talk us through some of those early lessons that he might have taught you. Like, talk us through a scenario where he, you know, took you under his wing and showed you the ropes.
So with Spragga, so more than anything, Spragga to me is like family. And, you know, at one point I even lived in his house, you know. And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned being around Spragga is that he was / is a family man and top flight dancer / reggae artist at the same time. And you know, immediately I chose that to be what I wanted. I wanted, you know, I wanted to be home with my family and then, you know, go to the stage and do that and then be back. You know what I mean? So my reality now, you know, my students at home, you know, the kids are upstairs, you know, like that whole setup. I first, it became a goal of mine because I saw that setup first when you know, being around Spragga. And then, you know, outside of that, you know, there's so much you learn, you know, just being around someone who has done it before. And a lot of the lessons then were more passive than you know, active lessons. It's things like, you know, those how you conduct yourself, you know, not having to be the loudest in the room, that sort of thing, until it's time to be the loudest in the room, you know, that, you know. So just them kind of thing, just, you know, flex wise and thing, you know, the humility, you know, things like that.
And was there ever times where he had to be firm with you? Obviously, you as a younger artist, him as a sort of seasoned artist. Like, was there ever times where he sort of took you to one side and was like, you know, you can't do this, or something? Was there ever sort of any firm words like that?
Not really, because, you know, once again, so for example, even like you know, staying fit, like that's something that, you know, I knew was a part of the game, and it would be more like he would be more like sharing what his regime would be. Yeah, man, you know, that's a good thing, yo. You know, like, just, you know, it wasn't so much as a take to the side kind of vibe. It was more like, yeah, it's things that
leading by example, yeah.
Yeah, in a yeah, very much so, as well as even if it's not a lesson for me, but just me, once again, being a student, knowing what to grab onto. So if 10 man dep on the ends I talk about, yo, you remember say you have to fit, you know, cause Ray X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, you don't need to come and pull me aside and say, yo, you need to be fit. Okay, I heard you. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, you know, got it. So yeah, so because remember, it wasn't just me, right? It's Red Square and Briggy Benz, you know, Natty Chris Greg Hines, like, you know, Spragga has always been the kind of person that have several youths around him trying to, you know, help them out and things. So it wasn't necessarily a case where he needed to pull anyone to the side. It was, you know, whoever is for ear, make them ear kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Buju, obviously. Tell us about your first encounters with Buju.
So my first encounters with Buju, I was actually, you know, still in school, just trying to, you know, see different studios in the afternoons. And I used to go up to Buju's studio. They used to have auditions and things like that, a DJ fame. I was like, yo, the youth bad, way. And then, you know, of course, Buju actually put out my first record, as in the first time I saw my name on a vinyl record, it was Gaga Me Music. And I remember the first song I recorded was like, Boy Juvenile bad enough, but a 5-song that. Because he was saying that there was just too much lyrics in the song. And, you know, Buju was more the kind of person to like take me aside in terms of, because he's that kind of way. And I remember like being on tour with him, and, you know, sometimes we'd be on the tour bus, you know, driving state to state and just, you know, having, you know, some reasoning and thing. And yeah, he would tell me like, night after night, you know, going on the stage and, you know, like 3 shows in, like, you know, I got no voice, and he was like, yo, this is how you have to take care of yourself on the road. You have to make sure you have dry clothes, you know, to change after the show, and, you know, keep your you know, your throat area covered, you know, things like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned Dave Kelly, who's a producer who is almost quite mysterious in a way. Like, not many people know that much, you know. It's not been that well documented, you know, stories about Dave Kelly. Like, what was it like working with him, like, as a younger artist?
Yeah, so absolutely the first time I got to work with Dave, I mean, of course, Dave would be on the pedestal in terms of production-wise when I was, you know, just leaving high school, trying to get in the game, like around 99, 2000 time. I mean, you know what I mean? So I met him a couple of times, but, you know, it was kind of like, yeah, that's Dave over there. And, you know, like, okay, all right. You know, it would be great to record for Dave Kelly, but, you know, the man there, you know, anyway. So eventually the opportunity came, and I went to, he was in Miami at the time. And I went up and for the 85 rhythm. And yeah, I remember just thinking how much it would be, you know, just a great honor, and I don't know, just big props for Dave Kelly to like hear me DJ and be like, yeah, man, all right, let's record that one. Like, you know, for him to approve like the lyrics or whatever. So, you know, that was something. And then the second time I recorded with him, I remember him changing a line in the song that I had. Not even changing a line, rather than adding one word. And it was the song Good Over Evil. And I said, we don't worry about bad mind people. And I said, all who I wish for see me food stop. And he actually stopped the tape and was like, no. So all who I wish for see me little food stop. So he added the word little to the line. And of course, when he did that, and, you know, I did the line, obviously, because I'm not going to argue with him. So I did, you know, so I did the line, and then, you know, that evening when I got back to the hotel, I was like, you know, I was really just unpacking the entire experience again and just kind of like going over it, everything. I was just like, all right, so why did he tell me to change, to add this word to the line? And I really dissected it, and I recognized, like, you know, just how adding that word made the line much more relatable to a wider cross section of people, one, and then B, it is really how we speak. Like, it is really, that's the communication that happens right across America. John will start, or just my little food, them I try stopping it. You know what I mean? Like, it adds that little word literally added a huge difference to the line. And so, yeah, so, you know, like I said, being a student of the music, being around, you know, people like Dave, Buju, Spragga, you name it, I always try to you know, learn whatever I can, and I certainly had lessons.
So you've obviously had a lot of, great mentors throughout your career. Do you feel like, from your knowledge, that there's enough mentoring being done of the new generation of artists from the older artists at the moment? Like from what you can see.
Once again, that framing is not correct. That framing is saying there is not enough mentoring from older to younger. And you could choose the perspective of, is there enough, is mentoring being sought from the younger to the older, which is how it ought to be. I have the information. You should know that, well, when I say I mean speaking from the position of the older artist, so to speak. Yeah, if there's a source of information, if somebody has been somewhere before, done it before, it would make sense for you to at least get their account. They shouldn't have to fight you for you to have you listen to it or see value in it. So I think that's where it is. I think it has not been my experience that any young artist, old artist, whatever, going to reach out to somebody and be like, yo, what do you think we should about this? Yo, what do you think we can, whatever, and they won't receive it. It's just not set up like that. What you might find is, on the flip side, no man now go run down the youth and try to tell them nothing, because man, the least thing here, man, I say, oh, you're bad man, or this and that. So I think if it is sought, it is there to be had. Absolutely.
I know that you've been working with a young artist, Dre Suede.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
So he's a young man who actually builds beats, and has been doing a bit of writing too for a few people and thing, and just have a great vibe, and just a clean spirit, and I really feel like there's a space in the music for him.
And how does it feel? I mean, you're not an older artist, but you're an experienced artist now. How does it feel having that responsibility of, okay, I want to, guide a younger artist? Does it feel good?
The way I look at it is, once again, it's, I'll do what I can. So it's just a matter of how it should be, and that's just how I see it. So, it doesn't feel any different from, getting up every day, and like it's just
doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's doing the natural thing, man. Like this is how life is designed. One generation helps the next. That's just a natural thing to me.
And I feel like one area where some of the younger, not all, but some of the younger artists today could take a leaf out of the older generation's book is live performance. Do you feel like live performance in dancehall is at the level that it should be right now? Generally speaking, I'm not talking about every artist, but
I mean, all right. So once again, it's hard to have any kind of debate without establishing key terms and things like that. And I think as an industry, it kind of like is this abstract idea as to what a good performance is. So for example, you'll have a show with, like, let's say a half dozen performers, and you'll do afterwards you go to people and say, yo, I hear them have a thing on them, who take the show? Yo, think they take it. And sometimes, like, just to hear the difference in opinions and whatever, it's like, wait a minute, what? Was I at the same show? Because people have different parameters and different metrics as to what they use to measure performance. So in order to answer that, we really need to ask ourselves, define the key terms. What exactly is a good performance, and what exactly is a not so good performance? And the people ultimately are the ones who decide what that is, right? I might have a certain performance style that I like to see and whatever, and somebody else might have a different whatever. So it's a matter of, industry-wise, wide, where is the standard? What are we saying is a good performance? I think we need to define that first. I think we haven't defined what that is. It's kind of still this abstract thing. You might say, yo, that's a wicked performance, but then somebody else, you know, like I said, the 6 artists performance, somebody say artist B and somebody say artist D, and they are totally different kind of presentations. And, you know, so that being said, the style that I like to see and, you know, how I think the music can be presented, I wish to see more of that. I say that.
And I guess a lot of it comes down to who you're actually there to see. So if you go to Sumfest, you know, and you're here to see one particular song from one artist, you might not even pay too much attention to how it's being performed, you know, because you just want to hear that song, and you might actually overlook.
No, I think invariably people who go to these, I call them wholesale concerts, and I don't mean that in any kind of negative way. I mean, you know, I'm happy to be a part of, but you know, that's whenever you have these various artist concerts, then I think as a culture, we go to these shows expecting to at least watch see a few of the performances. You might have one, you know, artist where you definitely, you know, need to see, but people do, like, you know, enjoy a couple more acts. So I don't think that factors in, you know, too much in terms of what someone will say of a performance. To me, it comes down to, like I say, what are we using as the metrics? You know, so I mean, it's very subjective, and therefore it can be all over the place. I think we need to start to you know, establish some, you know, some deliverables, I guess, as to what we're looking for, you know, in a performance. You know, some people 2-line pull up, you know, is that what we're going for? You know, no, seriously, as I'm saying, we should decide, is this something good? Because listen, no artist never left me out to go to a show and not give a good performance. None, you know what I mean? And so whatever the artist is doing is because they think that this is what they need to do. And so we need to, as an industry, say, look, guys, this is what we want from you. If you do this, then yeah, we're good with that. Yeah.
So you performed at a virtual streaming of Sumfest recently. What was that experience like?
It's yeah, it's you know, clearly a very different situation, not having, you know, the audience immediately before you. But the way I approach performance is it never factored in too much, because, you know, the performance on the stage is the performance on the stage, and then there is the interaction with those around you as another component of the performance. And then there's the interaction with the audience, whoever they are, wherever they are. So I tried to do that, even though it was a virtual situation. I still tried to communicate that, you know. So yeah, it was fun, different but still fun.
And how important is it to actually watch the crowd? Because obviously you go there, you know, to a live performance with your rehearsed set. Can an artist maybe pay too much attention to the crowd?
Yeah. So something happened very early on in my career that gave me that perspective, and literally that perspective. I was watching my 2003 Sumfest performance. My set was like 15 minutes, and I was watching a DVD where someone was in the audience with their, you know, camera recording the show, and every now and again they would like zoom into the stage, zoom out, whatever, and you could hear people standing around making comments, whatever, blah blah blah. And so I was I'm there watching it. You know, I did okay. You know, never take the show or nothing, but you know, it was a good showing for my first time out and thing. And then whenever the camera would zoom out, you could see the guy. There was this guy standing, like, you know, just an arm's length away from the camera, and he's there standing. He's smoking something. He's looking at the stage. He's not even bopping. Like, he's just standing there. the camera zooming in and out. People around, some people are give forward, some people are rock along and thing and thing. This guy did nothing more than smoke whatever he was smoking. And then halfway into the performance, he goes, him take a draft or whatever. Are you too bad, you know? Yeah, man, that you tell come lock the place or something like that, you know? And then that was it. And he watched the rest of the show, continued this smoking, and that was the end of it, right? Listen, if everyone in Catherine Hall that night was thinking the exact same thing like this guy was thinking, that would mean that my mission was 100%, matter of fact, 1,000% accomplished. For a first time performance and Reggae Songfest, I would love for everyone in there to go, wow, that you about it, you know? He's gonna be, he's one to watch. He's gonna be a significant part of the landscape. But guess what? If the camera pan out to the audience and everyone was smoking and looking at the screen, what did I hear say? Did I hear say assassin flap? You know. So from watching that video, I realized that guess what? The type of presentation that I want to give and the type of content that I want to bring to people, which is not just about jump up and make noise and whatever. If it's content that people need to listen and digest, it might be that you will have people who will listen, not necessarily ball forward, but appreciate it. So I've also learned over the years that a quiet crowd is much better than a mumbling crowd. Because if they're quiet, that means they're listening to you. If they're mumbling, it means that they're talking about what's for breakfast and, you know, stuff like that. So you know, there's a lot of, you know, little things to pick up on and what have you. But, you know, more than anything, just understand that it's a communication. It's not me pouring myself out onto to the people. It's, you know, it's a conversation. It's, you know, we're in this together kind of thing. And so, you know, you get to know what this audience might want different from that audience, because you might have the same composition of people in a venue. For example, in other words, if 1,000 man turn up for a show, 1,000 different people turn up for a show tonight in this venue, and tomorrow night the exact same 1,000 people turn up in another venue, they might want a different experience, you know. So it's good to read what's going on for this time and things like that in the situation.
And does that apply to where you're performing as well, in terms of different countries around the world? Obviously, you've performed around the world now. You know, do you ever tailor your set differently to different countries?
No, yeah, but you must, absolutely. So if I'm in Europe, for example, the way I talk between songs might be a little bit different, because, you know, I can't just drop the patois 100%, 100 miles an hour. People might not be able to understand, so I will speak more deliberately. You know, I make sure to pace the words so people can understand what I'm saying. It would be more English than patois in that sort of way, but not like the Queen's English, but just, you know, just a little more refined so that people can understand what's going on. You know.
So how long did it take for you to get your live performance to a place that you were happy with? Like how long was that process of perfecting your live performance?
Well, so I wouldn't there's, you know, it's not perfection. It's, you know, it's still learning, and it's still, you know, trying to, you know, continuous improvement pretty much. But I'd say it was around when I completed the first tour is when things really changed, and that was 2006, because on a tour, night after night, you get to sharpen or work on something that happened last night. And also, I wasn't burdened to deliver a smashing performance every night. I was just an opening act on the tour. So, you know, you get to something up last night, be like, okay, tomorrow night I can, you know, try this out, you know, night after night. And learn even simple things like breathing. Like, yo, remember to fill your lungs every time, you know, things like that. It was really after that tour that it changed in terms of how I approach a performance.
So what advice would you give to a young artist who is trying to build their live performance skills? Like what are some key things to know?
Well, I think, first of all, look at the performances that you consider to be good performances, and then, you know, try to extract what the common denominators are. And, you know, for heaven's sakes, man, hold the mic properly. Even that, like, hold the microphone properly. You know, like hold, where is it? My mic is at. Yeah, like, you know, hold the stalk of the mic instead of, you know, cuffing the top, you know, things like that. Like, just really pay attention and understand once again that there's a great humility that comes along with performing. You know, you're serving the people, and, you know, if you understand that, then you know that you have to do, you know, whatever you're doing in relation to what the people are dealing with, you know.
So I wanted to talk a bit about lyricism, because it's something that I've heard you talk about quite a lot. How important is lyricism? Because you're widely considered, you know, a great lyricist in dancehall. Like, is too much importance put on being a good lyricist, would you say?
Well, you know, it depends on who you ask. I, for one, fell in love with music, and fell in love with the content of music. I guess, you know, so I guess it depends on what you're trying to get from your music. If you just want music to make you move, then I guess lyrics don't matter. But I appreciate content, and, you know, I try to serve people like myself who might appreciate content. Yeah, as simple as that. And, you know, like, I love just to hear, you know, clever things being said, and even little word puzzles, man. Like, you know, to make certain connections and things like that. I just find it to be a lot of fun. So, you know, that's how I go about it.
And what's the difference between writing lyrics and songwriting?
Because lyrics, you can have, lyrics are more like bits of data, and songwriting is information. So lyrics can be, you know, the bits and pieces, whilst, you know, a song is is more about the composition. And a lot of times people get caught up in lyrics, but there's no story being told, and it's not cohesive and whatever. So, you know, so I appreciate both. I like great lyrics in a great song. You know, the composition has to be there.
And have you ever written down your lyrics for your songs? That's crazy to me.
When it's time to, like, send them into iTunes or whatever, but in terms of the actual creative process, I don't, you know, I don't, like, write it down.
And has that always been the case ever since you first started?
Yeah, I guess it's because of how I started to put my own words together was, first, you know, trying to learn my favorite songs off the radio when I was very young, and then, you know, adding a few lines if I didn't catch a line, that sort of thing, and then, you know, it just never moved from that. You know, me having to actually write it down. I would just, you know, like, make it up in my head, and then I'd practice it at the same time when I'm making it up. Because guess what? You can't deliver it properly anyway if you don't know it. So I don't know. It just worked for me that way. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So when you first started out as an artist, did you have, like, set ambitions that you wanted to achieve? Like, I want to be this, I want to be that, or?
Yeah. When I was 17, I figured, well, by 35 I'd be retired and, you know, doing other things. No, for real. 35 just seemed like, you know, like eons away. I guess when you're 15, 35 would definitely seem like, you know, far away. But more than, you know, at first it was just like, yo, can I do music that people would be excited about the way I was excited about, you know, all these songs when I was in school? And then eventually, I guess, especially after my first daughter was born, I think it became more about, will my grandkids be proud of my music? That, you know, that's what it, you know, changed. Always just wanted to maximize my potential and really, you know, contribute as best as I can to this art form that I love, you know. And so, yeah, I'm still working on it.
And as I mentioned before, as a more sort of experienced artist in dancehall now, you've had that period where you've been like, you know, the young hot artist, you know, making the hot songs. Obviously, you're still making hot songs now, but they're more in a different kind of space, if you like. Talk us through that transition of, you know, growing up, I guess, and maturing with the music and leaving that space of being, you know, the hype young artist in Jamaica.
Well, so my career started when I was 16 and a half, 17. By the time I was 19, I had several number ones and, you know, young sensation kind of thing and whatever. And at that time, you asked what my ambitions were. Like at that time, one of the things I actually looked in the mirror and had a conversation with myself when I started, because, you know, coming from my community and coming from my, you know, where, you know, how we grew up, like every corner have 10 DJ, every community have 100. You know, everybody artists, everybody trying to get on, whatever. And I'm like, every man where you talk to feel like, so them I go, the next time them going to the studio, them I go bust, you know? And if everybody believe that, but yet still it only happen for a small percentage, where will I be? On what side of the coin will I be? Will I be just another man who thinks him can make it but don't really have it? You know, like, so I had the conversation with myself. Like, listen, all right, everybody walking around thinking them are the baddest thing. Because at 15, you couldn't tell me, say, me I'm not the baddest DJ in Jamaica as a 15-year-old, right? But then I was like, but maybe everybody think that. So, you know, how will I, you know, how am I going to do this thing? So I'm like, you know what, all right, I have 2 years. I'm going to give myself 2 years to get going in this thing. I was, like I said, 15 at the time. I was like, yeah, by the time I turn 17, if it's not popping off, you know, I'm going to go find something to do, you know? And so, you know, I had a conversation with myself. What's going to happen? Well, I should retire by I'm 35. I'm not going to lose myself physically and mentally. So when I look in a mirror 10 years from now, I should still see myself. So that's why I have no piercings, no tattoos, not like that, because I had that conversation with myself. Like I'm gonna be me. You know, I'm not gonna be a slave to this thing. I love music. I've loved it all my life, and I'm gonna do it. But I'm not gonna be a slave to it. You know what I mean? It's not gonna become my identity. I'm not gonna forget who I am. So I had that conversation. Fast forward to now, I'm not trying to compete with the 17-year-olds or my 17-year-old self. You know, that was that time. I'm at a different state of my development. You know, I have 3 kids. You know, I'm 37 years old, man. So this is 20 years ago. So my personal goals are different. My outlook on life is different. My frame of reference is different. My perspective is different. And I celebrate the young kids too. So I celebrate the guys and I celebrate where they are in their development and what they're doing, and understand that, you know, I was a 17-year-old at the same, you know, just the same, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so what I want to do now is to continue to, you know, maximize my potential, contribute in a way that would make sense for me at this time. And yeah, just do whatever I can to, you know, represent the music.
There are some artists who are, you know, of a similar age to you, and without any disrespect to them, you know, some of them are still singing about similar topics to what they were singing at, you know, when they were first coming up. Do you think that there's a point in your career where you just need to move on from that?
I can't speak for anyone else. I know that from ever since, my music has always represented my outlook and my values, and so you know, that's the same now. You know, it's going to represent what my mindset is at this time, what my perspective is, and I'm going to share that with people. And you know, for sure, I'm not thinking like I was thinking when I was 17. So, you know.
And you're a rare case of an artist who is, you know, you've been around for, as you said, you know, 20 years, and you still managed to maintain relevant throughout that whole period. What would you put that down to? Because it's something that not a lot of artists are able to achieve.
I don't know. But I've never relied on a gimmick for example, because those things wear out, right? So I think is that I've never relied on a gimmick or, relied on a, a look necessarily or things like that. I really tried to make it be about the music and, and pursue that, and I'm still pursuing it because at the same time, I still have not, I still haven't got that home run, but I think my batting average is good, and but yeah, so there is still so much further to go, and it's very encouraging actually to be 20 years in and to still feel yourself ascending. Like, imagine being on a flight for 9 hours and you're still approaching cruising altitude. You know what I mean? It's that so yeah, it's very inspiring. And from project to project and song to song and year to year, you count a few victories, you count a few lessons, and you move on and you try to turn that into even bigger victories moving forward. So we're still very much on that, and I have a new project coming out now which I think is gonna really be received well, let's just say. And with Loco being the first track from that project.
Is music as important to you now as it was when you first started? You obviously got a family now, you've got other things going on. Have you still got that same hunger and drive that you had when you were 17?
It's all right. So that's a very good question. I have an intense love and passion for music. It's just that it will manifest itself in a different way now than it would when I was 15, 16, when that's all there was, now I have 3 kids, and I don't know how I would explain it to them if I tell them that music is my first love, which is what I used to say 15 years ago. So yeah, the love for the music is still there. It's just that there are so many different variables at play now, and therefore it fits in a different sort of way. But that said, it is my mind still works in musical ways. I still see things in the day and wonder how to fit it in a song, kind of thing. Like, and that's been a part of my life from as far as my memories go back. So it's very much a part of me, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon, if at all.
So you've got the new project. We know that Loco remix is going to be on there. What else can we expect to hear on that project?
I'm not going to tell you, so it's between 5 and 7 songs. Loco, of course, when I guess dropped the Loco remix on there. I'll tell you that Chronix is on one of the songs. I'll tell you that I got Cranium on a song. I'll also tell you that, no, I'm not going to tell you that. But yeah, just listen out. And but it was fun, man. Producer-wise, I got Fanatics on there. I got Toddler T on producing one of the tracks. Who else again? Yeah, for Trap Killers out of Brazil. What else again? Of course, Diamond Studios. What else again? Teflon, of course, with Loco. Yeah, we're not telling no more.
All right, Sasco. All right, bro. Well, we look forward to hearing that, and it's been a pleasure, bro. Thanks a lot for your time, man.
Yeah, man.
Much appreciated. Respect, bro.